Definitely not a great condition for any of our team to be in before we get to the next bit of action. Especially since we've got another random encounter before we can get back to the bed in the castle. Guess I'm gonna be doing some more running away, and I can certainly think of one other dungeon where we might want to do a lot of running to deal with an annoying amount of bullshit. Hopefully, that won't be too much of a thing in the other Final Fantasies I'm planning on Let's Playing. I prefer to fight a hell of a lot in a game like this. But then the series tends to change things up quite a bit from game to game. While 4, 5, and 6 have very similar sprite work and environment tile sets, the mechanics and story are distinct from game to game. Yeah, this section is as empty as everywhere else in the castle so far. Really feels like an empty town to me. I somehow doubt you're all that glad considering your crap so far. You don't get to decide what we'd be more useful as when you backstabbed your own loyal knight. Ah! So the king was replaced before we even met him. Feels like a bit of a cheap story element to me, though I suppose it was hinted at when so many people in the village castle and Cecile himself commented on the fact that the king felt like he had changed. Anyway, the fake king is a member of the elemental bosses here. Well, at least Cognazo is easier to pronounce than Skarm's full name. Water-focused boss, so it's a bit of a shame that he's not in a water-based dungeon. Do you mean to tell me that the story-focused Final Fantasies will not have themed dungeons like the first one did? Feels like a bit of a shame. Okay, apparently I decided to get some extra protection at the start of this fight. Why the hell didn't I use Thundera, the stronger spell? And why did the basic lightning spell have pretty much no effect at all? Okay, that's a bit odd to see around the guy. Seriously, why am I not just flinging the strongest lightning spells we've got at the moment? Oh dear god, that was a dramatically damaging attack. Nearly took out both of the twins in a single shot, despite the fact that I cast Protect at the start. That's really not making me all that keen on using that kind of defensive spell in later fights, that's for sure. Hell, it feels more like I'm looking at a guide to figure out how to fight this guy than doing things on my own and figuring things out. And apparently that guide is not actually helping in the least. I suppose Baigan before this fight made me a little more nervous about the bosses to come after him. Hold on, let me just check a random guide. Certainly not the one I was looking at the same time. Apparently, using anything thunder or ice related when he isn't doing that weird energy gathering thing doesn't hit anywhere near as hard, though that doesn't explain why I'm not throwing everything we've got at him when he's got the water pooling around him like that. And once again, the twins took the worst of that tsunami. I'm already making a promise to myself that when I get around to working on the remake of this game, I'm not gonna bother to use any guides, so it'll be interesting to see if I handle this fight differently in that rematch. As it is right now, I feel like I might have misread something when I was reading whatever guide I had open in the background at the time, and this fight is turning out far more brutal than it probably had a right to. seriously, that tsunami is just pounding on us. And according to the guide I've got open as I'm looking at the footage right now, hitting him with a super effective spell at the right points will prevent him from casting Tsunami in the first place. Though I don't see anything in the guide I've currently opened about Kagnazo using haste on himself so much, so apparently this boss fight was tweaked a bit between different versions or something. And I haven't seen him try to heal just yet. He's just spamming Tsunami and I'm spamming healing moves. So that's two bosses back-to-back that I've managed to feel like absolute grinds to get through. And the Tsunami has been coming so fast that even if I wanted to shoot a big offensive spell at this point, they're just coming way too fast. I suppose there's not much more for me to say at the moment. We've established the pattern that's going to keep on going for a good deal of the fight as far as I can see. I don't generally change patterns unless I feel like something is going very wrong. Definitely feels like those haste spells are making the tsunamis come a lot faster, that's for sure. So, I do not feel confident trying to get Palom right back on his feet. Hell, I'm not too sure what I can do other than what we've already been doing. Just keep on healing and keep on physically attacking. This is most definitely gonna take a while taking out this frickin' turtle. I've got to become more willing to change up my tactics when running into a tough situation and do more to prepare for things to be rough. Just something more to keep in mind when I get to this game's remake, because it's a bit late to do anything now. Feels like the bastard is hitting lighter with his tsunami somehow, so maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part? I just know that this is gonna hinge on our two physical fighters for the moment, since I've clearly decided that magically attacking this guy isn't worth the effort after that first very light lightning attack earlier. It's just so hard to tell if that's a right decision considering we never see the other side's health, just our own. Yeah, definitely not much in the way of charging up for that attack this far in. Really? We could only train one NP from a boss? Does that mean that Kagnazo is running low on NP, or does that mean that the boss has essentially infinite NP, and he's only going to allow us to drain 1 point at a time? I'm sorry, I only just noticed that Porom has an ability that is literally just cry. I probably should have noticed that a lot sooner, considering how long we've been working with the twins so far, but I just really can't find it in me to give a damn about either of them. Well, it certainly took me long enough to start hitting him with the heavier lightning spells. Though now he's in a shell and healing. Really feels like I approached this fight in all the wrong ways. There were probably plenty of ways I could have had this end a lot faster. Well, can't change what you've already done, just what you'll do in the future. Let's see if I can finally change gears, though, and stop looking like an idiot when fighting the water-themed boss right now, though. Kind of annoying that clicking on an item once just tells the game you might want to reorganize your bag instead of automatically making it think you want to use said item. Though I suppose Palom is probably more annoyed that it took me this long to wake him up and get him back into the fight. Understandable, this is kind of the situation where a black mage is pretty much required, but I was trying to get by without using black magic at all after a token lightning spell did pretty much nothing. Yeah, Tsunami has most definitely lost a lot of its bite this far into this overly long brawl. Maybe haste removes some of the power behind the attack to make up for how fast it comes, but that doesn't really feel right to me. Well, it's worth considering as a possibility at any rate. And the fight ends on our second Thundaga spell. Poor Palom barely got to do anything other than lay there unconscious while we let that fight drag on for way too long. Well, we're still standing and Cagnazzo isn't. That means we did enough right to keep on moving forward, so points there. Could you be more specific where you were locked up there? The whole goddamn castle is pretty empty at the moment, just the two boss fights, and nobody to talk to. And he clearly took her somewhere other than the castle. Unless, of course, there are other hidden corners that we're not allowed to go into or something. Am I supposed to be amused by the old men verbally sparring with each other? Because all it's doing is reminding me that far too many Japanese-made fictional stories seem to think that anyone above the age of 30 is an outright geezer. We've also got a bit of an issue since the game will only let us have a maximum of 5 party members, and right now, I'm counting 6 characters. Well, at least Sid has a portrait and a distinctive sprite. He's less likely to be a trap like Baigen was, but it still got me worried how the game is gonna put any of this party onto a bench. Every other time we've had to lose a party member somehow, something supposedly disastrous happens. Right. Of course killing the boss somehow wasn't the end of him. If Skarm didn't go down after the first fight, then why would Cagnazzo? What about the walls? Okay, so they're coming to, crush us. Huh. You know, I was expecting the walls to be leaking water and we'd have to try to find some way to avoid drowning or something. Seriously, Cagnazzo. Your gimmick is supposed to be water. Try to stay on theme. I suppose I'm supposed to feel worried right now what they're going to do to remove themselves from the party here. Okay. So they turned themselves to stone. Somehow that stopped the walls from crushing us, when I'm pretty sure that Yang is strong enough to possibly break through these walls. I didn't see anyone try to go through either of the doors in front or behind either, so... Well, I suppose I can praise the fact that Tella tried to remove that status effect from the twins with his magic. Still doesn't change the fact that it felt like everyone in the team became completely passive for a bit. I'm sorry, but there are no tears coming down my cheeks. I didn't feel all that close to either of these kids, certainly not to the level I got hooked by Rydia earlier in the same damn game. And they've been turned to stone, not something that the series ever really treats as a permanent death. I would only really feel worried about them possibly dying if some monster tried to smash their statues to pieces. What can I say? Losing our party to a Leviathan out of nowhere really made it tough for this game to pull on my heartstrings. And I'm certain we're going to be railroaded to do so. I'm also very sure they're not going to honor this deal. Why do I care more for Kain than Palom, Porom, and Rosa combined? It's certainly nothing to do with his personality or his actions. It might have something to do with the fact that he's got a pretty cool appearance and his weapon of choice, though. It's funny how few central characters in various stories have spears. It's usually either bare hands or swords. It must have been quite a pain in the ass to keep something that large secret when you had to dig a chamber to hide the damn thing inside of. Ah well, I suppose that sort of logistical thing doesn't matter all that much. What matters is that we've just gained an airship, which should open things up a little. Bit of a shame that the ground didn't show any signs of an airship coming up from some subterranean chamber there. Maybe mess up the grass a little. Feels like something that the PSP version could have been able to pull off, but I guess they just wanted to keep things as close to the original NES visuals as possible, outside of a few exceptions. They only sent one ship then, huh? You already knew he was still alive after Golbez told you his progress so far. The real sad part is the fact that our heroes are most definitely going to treat saving Rosa as more important than keeping the enemy from the rather critical elemental crystal. There's not going to be any debate in this team whatsoever. I get the fact that Cecile and Rosa have a thing together, and I'm pretty sure Kain has a thing for Rosa as well. But Yang and Tella, they don't have any connection to her. But no, in this story about saving the world, the story hasn't done anywhere near enough to make me care about the girl that we need to rescue, when the crystals are clearly things that we should prevent the main villain from gaining. And this is the only one he doesn't have at this point. Hell, we treated losing the fire crystal at Edward's home as a background event as we tried to rescue Rosa from something different. And now we're going to use the absolute final of the 4 crystals as a bargaining chip for her? I'm sorry, but she just doesn't feel worth it to me. Anyway, we should switch up our formation a bit. Sid does kind of use hammers, and that's more of a melee weapon. Kind of wondering if he's going to gain Thor's hammer, just like we saw in Final Fantasy 1. I mean, He's certainly not a white mage, so he should be able to use that legendary tool a lot better. Okay, I'm kind of confused why it took me so long to get anything done in town at the moment. It's not like I'm talking to anyone to see if the dialogue has shifted since our last visit here. And it's not like I'm entering any of the buildings other than the equipment store. Apparently they don't sell any hammers here, just like they don't sell swords or bows when Rosa, Cecile, and Sid all come from this town. Ah, well, at least Sid can get some defensive equipment upgrades in here. Should I bother asking why a prison guard would prevent someone from sleeping? I'm pretty sure when you're in prison, about one of the only things you can do there is sleep. Probably should have sold the regular clothing as well. I possibly should have grabbed more Phoenix Downs, but at least we've got one revive for each member of the team we've got at this point, so that's something. We're going to the inn to regain some MP for Tella then. Though I probably could have just re-entered the castle and gone back to Cecile's room for free. I'm sure when I finally get around to working on the remake of this game, I'll check if there's any dialogue changes after we finish with the 2 boss fights in Baron Castle. But really, at the moment, I just want to get a move on now that we've got the airship. And I kind of just want to get the PSP version of the game as finished as possible, as quickly as possible.